Hey, bestie, can I ask you something real? Are you exhausted from trying to do it just right all the time? Like, no matter how much you check the boxes, over prepare, keep it all together on the outside, it just feels like it's never quite enough. I know that feeling. Perfectionism is sneaky. It can wear the mask of excellence or being responsible, but under the surface, it's just fear. Fear of not being good enough, fear of being seen as flawed, fear that your worth is somehow on the line. But, friend, here's the truth: your worth was never, ever, ever up for negotiation. What if embracing your imperfections was actually the doorway to peace, to connection, and a life that feels like yours? Today, we're breaking up with perfectionism. Together, we're going to break up, say bye bye. I'm going to be that bestie, that you call and you're like, all right, girl, I'm going to do it. I'm going to break up with him. And I just need your support. I'm going to text you after I did it, or you're texting breaking up. Don't do that. But if you did and your bestie's on the phone with you and they're like, all right, girl, you can do it. That's me. I am going to help you break up with perfectionism today. And not because we're giving up on ourselves, but because we're finally giving ourselves permission to be human. Newsflash, you are human. You are nothing else but human. I guess, unless your dog is listening to this, but they support you being human. So, friend, let's talk about how to do this. But first, why is this even important? Why do we care about this perfectionism thing? Well, first, let's just name it, friend. Perfectionism feels like the pursuit of excellence, but it's actually the fear of not being enough. I am a recovering perfectionism here, uh, and I don't even identify as that anymore. It's something that I used to struggle with, perfectionism. And freaking Tony Robbins, my favorite, says, yes, he is freaking. I just heard my grandmother, Charlene, who is no longer with us, and I was a teenager at some point, and I was like, freaking something. And she was like, Brittany, does does whatever it is need an adjective? And I was like, internally a smarty pants. I'm like, mm-hmm. But she was like, does that need an adjective? And I was like, I guess not, Grandma. And so Tony Robbins, my man, says perfectionism is the lowest standard because it does not exist. No one can be perfect. So go ahead. You can go ahead and turn off the episode. You cannot be perfect. The end. That's it. I'm just kidding. Stay with me. So, in our culture, especially for high achieving women, moms, I don't know, everyone, perfectionism gets praised. It's like the Pinterest mom. By the way, if you're the Pinterest mom, I'm freaking high-fiving you. You are amazing. But underneath all of those gold stars and people pleasing is often a relentless pressure to earn worth instead of living from worth. A relentless pressure to earn from worth rather than living from worth. Big, from worth. Positive psychology, here I am talking about it again, tells us that perfectionism is not correlated with well being. Well, that's because it doesn't exist, anyways. And in fact, when we strive to be perfect, studies show us that people have higher levels of anxiety, less happiness, more burnout by striving to achieve something that does not exist. Hear me? You who identifies perfectionist. I like Brene Brown. She is a smart cookie. And if you've read any of her books, I love that. Her research is clear. Perfectionism is a self destructive belief system rooted in the idea that if we look and act perfectly, we can avoid shame, blame, and judgment. Oh, but here's the problem. Here is the problem. We feel shame, blame, and judgment because we cannot be perfect. So we have this belief system that we cannot ever possibly achieve. And so because we cannot possibly ever achieve it, whenever we fall short, which is often, we feel shame, blame, and judgment. Here's the thing. NLP talks about that perfectionism is really just this whole strategy gone wrong because we just run strategies, we have programming, and it's an attempt to create certainty, safety, and approval. But like all unhelpful strategies, it becomes maladaptive because it starts to limit our freedom. If you always have to be perfect, friend, you are living in chains. There's no freedom in your life. You have to look perfect, sound perfect, do perfect. I don't be perfect. And then you're always falling short because something is wrong about you, about how you look, how you feel, what you do, what you did do, what you didn't do. I, I mean, it's just impossible. Do you know what I'm talking about? I felt this way. I honestly was running a belief, running a strategy really earlier on in my life that in order for me to be loved, I needed to be perfect. And by the way, I couldn't fully love myself because I knew all of my shortcomings. I knew that I wasn't perfect. And then when people around me learned that too, I was just like, great, no one's gonna love me. No one's gonna love me because I've made mistakes. I mean, I wanna like teenage Brittany, early 20s Brittany. It's like I just wanna squeeze her. I wanna hold her, I wanna hug her and just tell her that she's good enough and she's worthy of love, but she didn't believe it because she wasn't perfect. I mean, it destroyed me. If you really deal with feeling like you need to be perfect, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because probably also you're riddled with anxiety and fear. Fear, just feeling it all the time. Here's the thing though. Stoicism in, offers us another path. I love Stoicism. I'm 100% a Stoic counselor, therapist, coach, whatever word that you want to use. That's me. We have to embrace what is within our control and let go of the rest. Stoics don't seek perfection, they sought virtue. Virtues include things like humility, patience, wisdom, qualities that are born within perfection. I mean, in order to be humble, you need to recognize that you're not perfect. They need patience, wisdom. You need wisdom because you're not perfect. We have to be able to see our imperfection in order to actually become who we were created to be. Because if we're living with imperfection, if we're living with the belief that we must be perfect, I'm not even going to edit that out because it's like, on brand. I just totally messed that up. If we're living feeling like we must be perfect, we're never our full authentic self. Everything's calculated. It has to be perfect. Friend, if you deal with this, you have felt this. You have felt the anxiety that comes with this. Now, maybe this isn't you, but you have a friend that really struggles with feeling like they have to be perfect. You've heard their fear, you felt their anxiety, and you're like, whoa, sis, like take a chill pill. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's all gonna be fine. And they're like, no, it has to be this way. I remember, this is something that my mom grew through this. But when I was younger, it really was like I felt like our house was like a museum. I had to be perfect. and like, couldn't look like kids lived there and played there. Now again, she grew through this. This changed over time, but I still remember it. I or at least the feeling that came with it was like I was going to get in trouble if it wasn't perfect. And this carried on in my life. I had to be perfect in order to be loved. I'm not saying that my mom created this in me. What I am saying is that I carried this. I felt like I had to be perfect, and I am so not. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. In fact, power lies in your ability to show up even when things are messy, especially when things are messy. I mean, has your life ever felt messy? Like it couldn't be further from perfect? I know mine has. I think about even walking um, through an affair with my husband, and it was like I didn't do that, you did that. And now here our life is all kinds of messy, and it's like the furthest thing from perfect. And wow, like, and then this impacts me or reflects how people could see me. These were the lies that I was telling myself, but nonetheless this was the stuff that I was walking with, going like, oh my gosh, I things are, I'm not perfect. People aren't going to approve of me. Yeah, it is a messy one. But I don't know if you've ever noticed that we love a good story of an underdog. We mostly don't really like the stories of the people that are perfect. We expect ourselves to be perfect, but the stories that we want to hear, the stories that we actually relate to, are the people that didn't do everything right. And we're like, yes, and look at you now, and here you are. And mhm. I think about the episode ahead of this one, which was about feedback. And NLP has a saying that failure is simply feedback, but you can't actually have feedback in your life if you expect to be perfect. No one would ever give you feedback on anything. And then if they did, it would be devastating because you're not perfect. However, perfectionism isn't healthy striving. It's a form of emotional armor. It's the voice that says, if I do this flawlessly, I'll finally be loved, safe, accepted. It's the inner critic dressed up as discipline. It's the story that says mistakes equal failure rather than mistakes equal feedback. Perfectionism often shows up in all or nothing thinking. If it's not perfect, it's worthless. It shows up in procrastination, fear of not doing it right, so we don't do it at all, over editing, over prepping, over delivering, over working out, people pleasing, conflict avoidance. Healthy striving says, I want to do my best because I value this. Perfectionism says, if it's not flawless, I am not enough. I have a saying that I say to my students because I often have students emailing me about grades that they are unhappy with, that I believe that they earned because they must have a 4.0 GPA. So first we have to have a conversation about how they earned it. And then sometimes we have to talk about in their life that you have to do the best you can with what you have. And different seasons of our life allow for different capacities. I can't tell you how many different seasons I've had where maybe I had a higher capacity at one than at another. I mean, parenthood has changed that for me so much. It's like I don't have the same capacity for focusing on work as I did previously without my family suffering. And if I held myself to a perfect standard, I either just wouldn't do it at all, or I would overwork myself, which is more likely to be my tendency. I would overwork and my family would suffer. Perfectionism leads to this sort of performance type mentality, and your worth was never meant to be measured by performance because your identity isn't built by getting it right, it's built by showing up real. We are drawn to the realness, the authenticity, the genuineness in people. It's actually the fake people that we feel repulsed by. Now again, they might be fake because they're trying to be loved. No judgment there, but what I'm telling you is it repels people. This this mask, this need to be perfect, this fake narrative of whatever, it repels people rather than draws them to you. So let's talk about how to let go of perfectionism and embrace imperfection. So, friend, first you need to reframe your identity narrative. NLP reminds us that your identity is shaped by the story you tell and rehearse. Let me say that to you again. Your identity is shaped by the story that you tell and rehearse. If your internal narrative is, I must be perfect to be loved, successful, or worthy, it's time to rewrite that. Maybe you rewrite that with, I'm doing the best I can with what I have, and that's enough. Maybe you replace it with, I'm someone who values growth and shows up wholeheartedly. Your identity statements will drive your behavior. It's time to start by choosing a more compassionate one that's actually real, one that'll actually get you results that you can be proud of. If you say, I'm someone who values growth and shows up wholeheartedly, when you do that thing, it engenders being proud. When you show up, when you say, I must be perfect, the minute that it's wrong, you're screwed because something's not gonna be perfect. Number two, you need to practice what positive psychology calls self-compassion breaks. Kristen Neff's research shows us that people who practice self-compassion, especially after a perceived failure, actually have more motivation, less anxiety, and greater resilience. Let me say that again. When you practice self compassion, especially after a perceived failure, you will have more motivation, less anxiety, greater resilience. I don't know about you, but I want that in my life because I'm always trying to level up. And in order for me to level up, I need to have some motivation. I definitely don't need anxiety getting in the way, and I want to make sure that when failure happens that I'm resilient to it. So whenever you mess up or fall short, it's okay to say, I can be kind to myself. I'm not alone in this. This is hard and I can do hard things. That's my favorite. That I last episode I was talking about how we help our daughter say that she has a positive attitude, and right now, she's learning to read, and so she'll say things like, "Oh, mom, this is so hard," and I'm like, "Okay, this is hard, and what can Lashwas do?" She'll go, "Hard things. Lashwas can do hard things." I'm like, "That's right, Lashwas can do hard things." And what do Lashwas do hard things with? And she's like, and a positive attitude. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Lashwas can do hard things with a positive attitude. You know what? That is getting so deep in her that at some point she's going to really need it even more than reading. And she's going to go, what? I can have a positive attitude and I can do hard things. And that's a part of being self-compassionate. We're not negating that the thing is hard. What we're saying is, and I can do hard things. This is hard, and I can. You need to trade perfectionism for presence. Perfectionism keeps us in an imagined future where we fear judgment. I recently had a client that went and did something that they were afraid of. And I was like, yeah, that was so much worse in your head, wasn't it? And they were like, yeah, it totally was worse in my head. The thing that I feared didn't happen. Yeah, that's because our imagined future is worse, where we fear judgment. Presence anchors us in what is. And NLP teaches that when we are present, that's where change happens, not in an imagined future. I want to encourage you to use grounding tools like breath work, body scanning, mindful awareness to return to now, where you are already enough. You are already enough. Present and you're already enough. What you do, don't do doesn't make you any more than more enough or less. So be present where you are and kick the imagined future to the curb. Number 4, you need to build your tolerance for good enough. This comes back to best I can with what I have. It's important to start small. Let that text go without over editing. Show up on video with messy hair, or like me, right now with no makeup. Show up on video with messy hair. Leave the laundry unfolded. Let your child's birth Get your child's birthday cupcakes from Target instead of that bougie place. Each time you allow for imperfection to live, you signal your nervous system that you are safe without control. And some of you really need that to let imperfection live. Now, it might be real uncomfortable to you to leave that laundry unfolded, to go out without your makeup. It might be real uncomfortable to do that, and you can. By the way, the more that you build your tolerance for good enough, the more you build your tolerance for uncomfortable, the easier it becomes. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to become a slob. That's nonsense. What it does is allows you to go to sleep without anxiety about all the freaking things that you had to do that you have to do before you go to sleep, or that you didn't do that you're kicking yourself because you're going through the list in your head of all the stuff that you didn't do. Stoicism so much teaches us about acceptance. It was Epictetus that said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, the freedom to live as you will. And friend, you can't live when you are imprisoned by perfection. You get that, right? You get that, right? So build your tolerance for good enough. Build your tolerance for discomfort, that discomfort to imperfection. And then it'll be okay. And by the way, if you have little people, this is just a side note, you have got to get this. So this is me. If you needed like here's your sign, if you needed somebody to drop a brick on your head, friend, if you have little people, if you want to have little people, you have got to get this for them, because the perfection that you feel like you have to live in, you will create anxiety in your children. You will create control issues in your children. They will feel like they have to be perfect in order to be loved, and you don't want that crap in your children. Get it. Get it today. Kick that freaking perfectionism idea to the curb. Do it. Just do it. Now, that might not be as easy as I'm saying. It's going to take practice, and you're going to be imperfect in your practice, and you must. All right, number 5. You've got to rewire your what ifs. If your perfectionism is driven by what if I fail? Try asking something different, like, what if this works? Or what if my best today is enough? It's so amazing that the things that we create in our mind. I'm like, well, You're going like, what if it fails? What if it succeeds? We need to ask different what ifs. And by the way, if you struggle with like what if this or why this or whatever, please go listen to my podcast. Ask better questions, get better answers. It will help you with this process. I digress. I'm coming back. Ask different questions rather than what if I fail? What if it succeeds? What if it works? What if it's good enough? Often our what ifs, the negative ones, the ones that spiral us, are tied to past experiences of shame or fear or rejection. And when you clear out that emotional charge, you can actually be free to choose a new internal strategy. So we've got to rewire these what ifs, and we need to release the crap that's connected to them. So in true Brittany fashion, I'm going to ask you some questions. I really encourage you think through these. Number 1, where in your life do you confuse perfection with safety? Let that one land. Number 2, what would it feel like to be loved as you are, not as you perform? Number 3, what identity do you want to lead with? Perfectionist or wholehearted human? Number 4, whose approval are you chasing and what is it costing you? Number 5, what's one area of your life where you're ready to let imperfection be enough? Friend, perfection was never the goal. Presence, peace, and purpose were the goal. You are not behind. You are not too much. You do not need to fix every flaw to be worthy of the life that you're building. Let perfection be your teacher and not your enemy. Let it be the doorway back to freedom. And if you're ready to break up with your inner critic and build an identity rooted in truth, compassion, and power, you know I'm here for that, friend. Book a breakthrough session. Let's release what no longer serves you and build a you that's free. Bestie, until next week.